combination, the jab, the uppercut, the combination, the jab, the uppercut.
What does David Haye look like to you here? He look like Sean Paul, isn't it? That was him last week watching Tyson rock around the ring in the ninth when Alexander Usyk put him under that barrage and Haye got a little animated.
I know Tyson is anxious for the rematch. I think probably it will be in November or December because you can't do it in October. The guys have been training for the whole year, and now for them to go back into training makes no sense. So I think late November, early December, mid-December would be ideal for the rematch.
Here we go, come on, come on.
I think everyone knew that October was a very unlikely date. And to be honest, so is November, December. I had a receipt from the media that it's more than likely going to be New Year. But let's not even bank on early New Year. It will happen if it's supposed to happen. But it's going to be at least 8 to 10 months minimum before we see them in the ring. I mean, ARUM tried to reduce it to training camps back-to-back why Fury wouldn't be going in for an immediate October rematch. Well, it's more than that, isn't it? Like, this is the first L of his career. Been a pro at least 16 years. First L. Arguably the second, if we go back to the John McDermott fight. But, you know, if you look at that ninth round, like I said before, he's been dropped on, 8 previous or 7 previous occasions. Normally by right hands, and Garner caught him with the left hook. But that ninth round was the first time he took a sustained beating from anyone like that. Even John McDermott. And we're dealing with the pound-for-pound best fighter in the sport, you know. The reason Fury delayed the second fight with Deontay Wilder was the concussive nature of the knockdowns he suffered. It wasn't so much the technical aspect, although there's some technical kinks you have to work out against Wilder. In fact, quite a lot. You know, you don't land that right hand as much as Wilder does just by winging it. But with Usyk, it's the movement, it's the hand speed, the southpaw stance, the volume.
The combination, the jab, the uppercut.
And you'd have to probably say more nuanced than Deontay Wilder. A second loss to the same man in the space of 6 months or whatnot. That would be a hard pill to swallow, yeah? And if Frank Warren is telling the truth about this bipolar diagnosis, is he in the right state of mind to go straight back into an October or even New Year fight with Alexander Usyk is the question.
Y'all know the rules.
The position Krashuk, Klimas, and Usyk find themselves in is not unfamiliar to what Tyson Fury went through when he won the belt from Vlad. He signed up for a rematch when his first obligation with the IBF was to fight his mandatory, and that would be the winner from Glashkov and Charles Martin. So he was stripped of that belt. There is a few loopholes you can do beforehand, but they neglected that, and Mick Hennessy and Frank Warren, and he was stripped of a belt, and then it all spiraled downwards. We won't go into the whole story. Now, Usyk wants an exception. He doesn't want to be stripped of his IBF belt, but that would mean the mandatory challenger, which at the moment, when mandated, would be Filip Bogovic. That means he would be pushed back from his title shot. And I don't think he's going to go for that. Why would he? If they give Usyk an exception, there's going to be people who've been in a similar situation thinking, well, why didn't I get that? You know, when you sign up for the rematch, how can you be asking for an exception?
Y'all know the rules.
Why do they need an exception is what bugs me out. All you really need is the lineage. That's all you need. You need the lineage. And he has that. You're begging to pay them sanctioning fees to validate you when you've got that undisputed belt from the Saudis. Just bring that to the ring and that should tell everybody the story. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
Oh, great shot by Jack. Great shot. Josh in trouble. Josh is in serious trouble.
Josh in trouble?
Yeah, he's down. He's
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Jack Catterall just caught him like Mike Tyson caught Francis Botha.
He's hurt. He's still hurt.
Shit was crazy.
He's still hurt.
Shit. Oh,
Yo,
shit.
that punch was crazy. That's what we was asking Jack to do. Oh, he caught him with something beautiful. That shit was gorgeous.
He walked him onto a beauty.
Yeah, a beautiful shot.
Taylor's
Oh, my
smothering him.
God.
Taylor's smart, though. Taylor's been very clever there.
And CATTERALL showing that patience, waiting for another opening. CATTERALL now has a chance to step on it, and instead he's stepping away and giving Taylor the chance to respond himself in the closing seconds of what has proved to be a torrid round.
Great left hook by Jack Catterall in the 11th round. But as you hear, Mike Costello, he said that Catterall backed off and let Taylor respond. The fighter has to assess if his opponent is hurt when he's hitting with a good shot. And obviously Jack didn't think Josh was sufficiently hurt that he could go in there and try and finish it. Maybe he was right, maybe he wasn't. He won the fight regardless. But that's a similar theme to the first fight, where he had Josh on the floor, but allowed Josh to pile back in there, if not with much sophistication, but allowed Josh to be aggressive, which they scored in the first fight. And they were scoring in this one, because some people believe that Josh Taylor won the fight, or it was a draw. I didn't see that. The debate we had after the fight on the stream is whether Jack Catterall can go any further in terms of beating any of the champions without that killer instinct. That was the debate we had. It was a good debate. In terms of boxing ability, Jack is one of the best boxers at 140. He landed that backhand with his first punch of the fight. And there were times he would triple, quadruple the jab into Taylor's face, and Taylor was just a sitting target. I don't know, like somebody said maybe Josh has got problems with his eyesight, because he didn't seem to see the punches coming at times, the jab, the 1-2s. Also, it could be neurological. It could be like his reflexes in terms of moving his head from heavy shots is non-existent. That's why it's hard for me to understand how anyone could have had Josh winning the fight when he just didn't slip enough punches. Just didn't slip enough. And then his own accuracy was not what we've been accustomed from the former undisputed 140-pound champion. But he put up a gallant battle, he did. He really did.
Those scorecards were a disgrace. Were an absolute disgrace. And I really feel sorry for Josh. I thought he won the fight. And that's the lesson. I will never, ever allow an American fighter to come here with this British board scoring the fight. Those scores were ridiculous.
Jack's trainer, Jamie Moore, responds to Bob Arum's outburst.
Bob Arum's comments, after the fight. He's obviously Josh Taylor's promoter. A lot of people felt that 117, 111 was too wide, including Tony Bellew. What do you make of people calling it a disgrace, those scorecards?
117, 111 is way too wide. And I said this before, I've got to say that, because I'm a hypocrite if I don't call that out when the first scorecards I've been moaning about for 2 years. I'm a hypocrite, I can't do it. And to be fair, Bob Arum, I've got to call him a hypocrite if that's the case, because he didn't call it out last time. Yet, in a fight with the right result, where the scorecards are a bit wide, he tries to call it out. He didn't call it out last time, so...
And look, it's been a tough week for Bob. He probably expected Tyson Fury to walk through Alexander Usyk last week. That didn't happen. Then he's travelled all the way to the UK, which I'm surprised he travelled over here. I mean, this fight doesn't have a title at stake or anything. But maybe he just wanted to rub it in Eddie Hearn's face to feel good after last week. I have a feeling that losing to a matchroom fighter ultimately, and losing to Eddie Hearn, is what's tearing Bob up. That's really tearing him up.
There'll be calls for a trilogy. You guys mentioned Teofimo Lopez.
Calls for a trilogy? I don't see it. I don't see it. Maybe Josh Taylor would want it, but arguably Jack Catterall's beat him twice on the bounce, just didn't get the scorecard first time round. Jack needs to be moving on. The trilogy should have finished in 2022, but Josh Taylor claimed he got quote-unquote injured and stalled the fight for a little while. It's 2024. Jack Catterall has to be pushing on and looking about world title fights and new opponents. He's won 3 on the bounce since the first fight. He's going to move considerably or significantly up the rankings after this win. World titles now. World titles. He wanted Teofimo Lopez. That's who he called out. He fancies his chances in that fight. Josh Taylor, back-to-back losses at 33. I think the rise and fall of Josh Taylor, I think a lot of it, and I'm not saying he's finished yet, but he's only had 21 fights. And in that 21 fights, he's packed in a domestic grudge series with Jack Catterall. He's become undisputed champion. He's had classic fights with the likes of Prograis in the unification. Good fight with Ramirez for all 4 straps, unifications, and a lot of it just could be burnout. Perhaps he's not living the life outside the ring, maybe drinking, doing whatever. And he's fit a lot of tough fights into 21 fights when ideally he needed to add some new skills, develop his game before he was going head on into all these tough fights. But winning the World Boxing Super Series doesn't allow that, does it? Like, you're in a tournament, you don't get to pick your opponents, you just go for it. He'll have doubts about his ability now. He'll have to sit down and figure it out, what he's going to do next.
Very untidy fight. Referee hasn't really got control over the holding for some reason. He's taking a timeout. Okay, he's warned him for holding, finally. It's took you, how many rounds? 8 rounds worth of holding, and it's only now you've said something. Okay, Ellis going to the body. Has to open up now. How does he fight without holding for the remainder of 50 seconds? Chef should test it. Zorro comes with a right cross of his own, though. CHEAVON got hit a few shots there. He came with his own right uppercut, but he got hit a lot there. I mean, the referee tells you to stop holding, and when you have to throw punches, and he's landing punches. What are you holding so much for? Go try win the title. Throw punches. Oh, good right hand by CHEAVON. Ellis on the move. Both men working inside there. I mean, you're way better fighter when you're punching. I don't know why you hold so much, Ellis. He's way better. Oh, good right hand from CHEAVON. Oh, he hurt him. Oh, buckles. Ellis is down. Ellis is down. Okay, they've counted him out. Been counted out. You see that? You see what happened to him, yeah? As soon as the referee eliminated holding from the fight, he got sparked out. He got sparked. It's weird, isn't it? Boxing, see, the science of boxing is flipping crazy. As soon as he wasn't allowed to hold, he himself looked like a better fighter landing shots. But in turn, CHEAVON looked better because now he could get his shots off. And he got taken out. Wow. Let's have a look at that finish again on the slow motion replay. As soon as you couldn't hold, look, see? He can't hold, he's throwing. Then he gets caught. See, normally, at that range there, what would he have done? He would have clinched. Then he got hit by that big right. That hurt him. CHEAVON knew he had him. Then he caught him with another right. He's on his way down. That's it. New British champion, CHEAVON CLARKE.
OKOLIE, he rebounded off his loss to Billiam Smith last year and won the Bridgerweight title in Poland against LUKAS ROZANSKI. It was a good win. First round win, 3 knockdowns and it was over. OKOLIE went right hand mad at first. The first attempt, LUKAS deflected over his head, and then OKOLIE tried a few more times. But the mistake ROZANSKI made was trying to jab with OKOLIE. He tried to jab with OKOLIE and OKOLIE just came over the top of that jab. Bang. That first right to put him down effectively ended the fight. There was a couple more knockdowns, but they were nowhere near as clean as that first right hand. The third knockdown, you saw ROZANSKI tottering around the ring like a leaf in the wind. It was over. Very good right cross. They obviously worked on that in the gym, and ROZANSKI fell for it, didn't he? Like, you know, jabbing at range of OKOLIE in the first round was asking for trouble. At a certain range, you can jab at the torso, jab at the chest, but jabbing upwards towards the head, obviously he's got to bring his chin up and he's exposed. Or if the shorter fighter, faced with that height and reach disadvantage, if you can time your taller opponent coming in with an up jab, that's permissible. But what LUKAS tried there, nah, it was suicide. A boisterous Polish crowd turned out, but they saw their man get destroyed early, and OKOLIE was amped up. Joe Gallagher went to hug him and celebrate, but OKOLIE was on fire. He threw him off, and anyone trying to get near him, and then he calmed down and celebrated with his team. Well done, Lawrence OKOLIE. Joe Gallagher is talking about fighting Evgeny Tashenko, the WBA champion, at Bridgerweight. Although I looked at BoxRec and I couldn't find a fight where he won that belt anywhere. So he's a kind of email champion, I guess. So if they unify, they'll move up to heavy. That was what Joe Gallagher was talking about. MBILLI backed HEFFRON onto the ropes, landed a right hand over the top and then a left to the body. Down went HEFFRON, and he didn't get up. He put his hand towards the side of his torso. Looks like the body shot was the shot that did the damage, and it was over in 30 seconds. There's no more commentary to do on that. It's over. I wonder if the board will want to see him if he intends to fight on, because to go over to Canada, lose in 30 seconds, they'll more than likely want an explanation before they consider licensing him. MBILLI, 26-0, 23 inside the limit, highest ranked super middleweight contender, building a nice little base there in Canada, the Frenchman. They're talking about Derevyanchenko next. He's not very familiar with that weight class, and he's 38 years of age. Hasn't been that active. However, I expect him to fare a little better than Mark Heffron did. There's some big fights out there for MBILLI. They want the Canelo fight. Whether they can get that, I'm not too sure. There's Edgar Berlanga, there's Diego Pacheco, but they're all over at Matchroom and DAZN. MBILLI is a top-ranked guy. The dates, we know they're kind of scarce for the PBC on Amazon, but Caleb, he looks like he's looking for a fight. MBILLI and Caleb would be a very good matchup. I want to big up Ishe Smith. Let me translate what he's saying here. Ryan Garcia gets the results back 2 weeks after the Devin Haney fight that he's tested positive. 2 weeks after. Nandrolone and Ostarine. The Nandrolone is taken off the table. So this hair follicle test that he's taken now, which is not admissible for VADA or WADA recognition. This is an independent test he's supposedly taken. We don't know who he's taken the test with. We don't even know if he's taken it. His dad could have did it. Okay, so if you've failed the test 2 weeks after the fight and you submit a hair follicle test, the logic is that you could have cycled off 2 weeks after, couldn't you? 2 weeks is a significant time to wean the substances out of your system before you submit a hair follicle test. So when the likes of Ryan Garcia are talking about hair follicle tests, or Alicia Baumgardner, hair follicle tests, Canelo, hair follicle tests, well, that's in hindsight of strict liability and you testing for the substance. That's damage control. You're supposed to come up clean in a time period where you're being tested for your fight. You're supposed to be clean then, not 2, 4 weeks, 5 weeks later with some bullcrap hair follicle test. I don't care where you took it. New signing to Matchroom, he said he fought once in 2022 because the fights weren't being offered. He had 4 fights 2023, the last of which was in December, and he was offered nothing after that. YSM Media, big yourself up. JALIL HACKETT is a 21-year-old welterweight prospect. JALIL is a power puncher. 7 stoppages in 8 wins, no losses, no draws. In December, he got rid of Gutierrez in 3. The other guy before that went in 2. He's been a pro since 2021. He can handle the workload. Prospects like this can handle the workload, and they need the workload. So off the top, we've got JALIL, Sabriel Matthias, world champion. Boots Ennis, world champion. Richardson Hitchens, ranked contender at 140. They've all left that side of the street. If there are any more signings from that side of the street, Kevin Rooney Jr., the matchmaker for Matchroom USA, is going to be very busy, very busy. And with that,
I'm gone. Ghost, peace, sayonara.